Lord, I was born a rambling man, trying to make a living and doing the best I can. But when it's time for leaving, I hope you'll understand that I was born a rambling man. I've been watching both these players since I was a kid. They both won their respective Super Bowls before I was a teenager. It will have been the 112th time that the Bengals and Steelers have faced off against one another, with our last game coming down to the wire, the defense putting up a harsh stop of Russell Wilson and Mike Tomlin's offense. The 2010s were a tough time to be a common Bengals lover and casual Steelers hater. There were 11 straight Steelers wins after Andy Dalton was injured in 2015. That streak was broken in 2020 when Ryan Finley dove in for a touchdown in our tanking year for Burrow. Since then, in the 2020s we have been tied in our series, besides each team sweeping once. This rivalry goes deep and players get into it. Jamar Chase knows the rivalry all too well and lives up to it in his games.
Right now, we know the Steelers are going to try to come in and raw dog us and kill us, but we're going to be ready for that challenge and we're going to be waiting for it.
Last year's Triple Crown receiver had 94 yards, over 10 catches, and a touchdown last week against the third best defense in the NFL. The Bengals were also able to hold on to the ball, which has been an issue for our team and Flacco throughout the season. No interceptions or fumbles will be very important this week, given that the Steelers have the second best turnover differential in the league. Keeping a good hold on the ball will be a primary goal of the Unc Bowl. The Steelers have what I would like to call a nickel and dime offense. Rodgers and the offense will move slowly down the field, chipping away at the clock and the score. Short and decisive runs to gain yards. Both of the Steelers' running backs are under the league average in yards per run, while Rodgers is in the middle of the road with around 7 yards per pass. Mike Tomlin's mindset has always been to just keep chipping away and allow for this nickel and dime offense to chop at the opponent, while the quarterback waits back for an opening deep from his wide receivers. We've seen many of these types of wide receivers come to Cincinnati from Pittsburgh. This year we will be facing DK Metcalf for the first time on the Steelers. The 7-year vet is doing well in Pittsburgh. A lot of his efficiency stats are the highest they've been his whole career, and he's on track for 14 touchdowns this season. DK has played against us before, however, that was on the 2019 and 2023 Seattle Seahawks with Russell Wilson and Geno Smith. Keeping DK locked down will be important, but DK will get jump balls deep. He already has 3 games this season where he's averaged more than 20 yards a reception. They aren't getting him the ball a lot, with the most catches per game he's had so far being 5. Our defensive backs and safeties will need to keep him smothered, while the front linemen and the linebackers prevent the Steelers from converting third downs. Joe Flacco did decently this week. I was happier with him than I thought I would be. The offensive line allowed only 1 sack. While Flacco was being hurried, he was getting the ball out in 2.63 seconds, a stat he tied with Patrick Mahomes. He threw the second most in the league last week, only under Dylan Gabriel, who the Browns started over Flacco. While he didn't look as good as I've seen this offense, he clicked. The Bengals did better than they have in these last few weeks. The defense was kind of stepping up, keeping the Packers to only 10 points on offense in the first half. Trey went down during the game and is now listed as questionable against the Steelers. Trey so far had a quiet season. His best stat is his 1 forced fumble and didn't have a sack before leaving the game on Sunday. He is a key piece to beating the Steelers. Without him, the Bengals defense will be at the beck and call of Rodgers. Tomlin's been coaching against Flacco for years now. They're 11-11 against each other in the regular season. Flacco has 5,028 yards against Tomlin's defenses over the years. Hopefully that baby blue-eyed 6'6" elite Flacco can pull off the win and bring the Bengals one step closer to 500. Alright, that's enough about the Bengals. How'd the rest of the league do this week? Well, the Giants upset the Eagles, while the Broncos and Jets kept it tight in Tottenham. The Patriots and Dolphins held on to leads, while the Cowboys and Lions seemed to pump the brakes a little bit. I'm loving every Baker Mayfield game this season. He's looking like a genuine MVP candidate, while the banged-up 49ers had Mac Jones through for almost 350 yards.
When I score and I hit MVP chant, I'm thinking they talking about me. So I asked Shep. I'm like, Shep, they was chanting MVP? And he was like, yeah. I was like, I ain't do nothing this year. And then he was like, they talking about Baker, Tez.
For UK this week, well, it's against Texas. Texas is and never was what people were predicting it to be at the beginning of the season. The Longhorns were ranked number 1 in the country before even a single snap in college football. However, after a loss to Ohio State in week 1 and some cupcake games where star quarterback Arch Manning didn't perform that well, they sank to being unranked last week after losing to the 11th in the SEC, Florida. The The most interesting thing I want to see from this game is McCown trying to break out and beat the second best rushing defense in the SEC, as well as the offensive line protecting Cutter. Texas's defense has some dogs that will be trying to turn the ball over constantly. The Longhorns are trying to get their season back on track. UK would be the perfect team to beat and get the ball rolling. Let's not let them. Thank you all so very much for watching. If you liked this video, leave a comment below. If you didn't like it and you've got something else to say, leave a comment. And if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe below. And as always, I will see you next week.